Good afternoon, YouTubers. Welcome to the garden backyard. Now we've done everything right. We've got these beautiful tomato plants. So now what are we going to do? We're going to tie them up and get them ready this summer so we don't make the mistakes that a lot of gardeners do. And what mistakes are those? They end up either getting and losing a lot of tomatoes to dry rot, or they actually bake in the sun. And so down here in Georgia, and I guess most of the country, if the temperatures are going to get up over 90, when you've got your tomatoes just about to get ripe, and they sit out there and it gets 95 degrees, it's going to cook them. Then you're going to lose them right before they get ripe. And that's just heartbreaking. So what we've got to do is we've got to tie these tomatoes up. We're going to tie them up in layers. That way then, as they come in layers, the top of it's going to shade out the bottom. We want to open them up enough so that there's air circulation through here. And so what I'm going to do now is demonstrate how to do that. I'll move the camera up a little closer. And let's turn it down. Okay, so I went ahead and pre-cut some of these strings. I like to use this twine. I get it in the big rolls. It's like hemp twine, and I get it at Home Depot. This is the expensive stuff. I think this is $25 for a roll. But one roll usually lasts a whole year. So I just go ahead and buy it. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to check all these leaders. I call them leaders. Some people call them suckers. It doesn't really matter. And we want to see, all these came from the same plant. In fact, over here is just two plants. But it doesn't matter because it can support many of these suckers. So therefore, if you see this one here, it's got a new sucker coming out, we're going to leave that because it's not far from the ground. Now once they get up higher, we will take off some suckers, but right now we want maximum production. So there's some blooms. There's blooms here, blooms here, blooms here, blooms everywhere, and those are going to make tomatoes. And the tomatoes will grow to full size if you treat them right. Once they start setting tomatoes and they're about the size of a quarter and you've got about enough for the plant, at that point we're going to fertilize it again. But right now the worst thing you can do is fertilize it, because you want them to bloom, you want them to set tomatoes. If you fertilize them now, they get nitrogen. What's going to happen is they're going to grow a whole lot of leaves. They're going to go way up, but they won't set many tomatoes, and that's not what we're wanting right now. We want them to set the tomatoes. So anyway, here we go. We're going to look at the leaders. We're going to decide where to tie them so that there'll be room for them to grow on up, and that way then the top leaders will be able to shade out the bottom and keep all that hot sunshine from cooking our tomatoes. So here we go. So the first one we're going to pull up will be this one. We're just going to literally, now you don't want to come all the way around because you'll constrict it. So you just literally want to pull it over here far enough to get to the fence. Tie it off. Now you don't want it right on top of this other one. So I've got slack here. I'm going to give it a little more slack. I think that's perfect. All right, now we've got another one. We're going to pull it over this way. That way it's not interfering with this one, and it's still got room to grow. make sure y'all can see what I'm doing. You want to usually put this, you want to put it where there's blooms. You want to put it on a leaf that has no blooms, and put it down below the leaf. Pull it back over towards the fence. Tie it off. Just a simple square knot's usually enough. Test it though, see if that didn't work. Need to triple loop it. And we test it. Good and tight. Okay, so we got these two tied up. Now I've been growing tomatoes for 40 years, and I have seen every possible way to grow tomatoes. And I do mean, I think I've seen them all. You can make these trellises that go up, come over and drop the strings down, and everything these people are doing will work. But if you come in and you cut all the suckers off of these plants as they come up, you're going to get one main stem, and then you'll get a group of flowers and another group of flowers and another group of flowers. You may get 6 or 8 tomatoes off of that plant. But if you want to get 20 tomatoes or more off of a plant, you can do it this way. It's just up to you how much work you want to put into it. All right. So now I see a problem, and the problem is that leaf is laying down in the dirt. Well, that's going to bring disease to the plant. So we're going to clip it off right now, even though it's the leaf supporting that group of flowers. And I always clip them about an inch from the edge, and that way the natural healing process will close it up and keep it from bringing disease and insects. So we took that one off. This was very dirty from the rain we had last night. I'm just going to actually you don't have to take the whole leaf off. I'm just going to take the dirty part off. This is the main leader of the plant. I'll stick that leaf through there. Here's the side leader. There's another one coming from the other plant that I've already tied up over here. So what I'm going to do is just pull this one over just a little bit and tie it up, give it room. That way then I can deal with this one and then get that one from the other plant. I'm blocking the camera. The reason I'm doing this is to support the plant with all these tomatoes it's going to have. So another thing you don't want to happen is to let your plant fall down on the ground and break. Okay, so now there's only one more leader that I need, and it's this one here. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull it up to right here and tie it off and test it. Yeah. Okay, so this plant is taken care of now. The only other thing I do is I want to look for lower leaves that are either in the dirt or blocking airflow. So like I say, you do want to take off some of these lower leaves. They're just not important to the plant at this point. Take it off. Let's take this one off. we will take this one off. So the obvious question is, well, here's another sucker, and these are going to make suckers too. Are you going to leave all those on? And the answer is no. Once I've got them coming up and they're getting big enough and they're full of tomatoes, at that point I will start taking off some of the suckers. You just kind of use your own judgment. You want all this to be full of foliage though, to shade down in there so that all these tomatoes won't burn in the hot sun. So anyway, that's the way you take care of your tomato plants. And I'm going to go ahead and do this whole row, and then I'll come back and turn the camera back on and we'll take one more look at it. Okay, so I'm finished now. I have opened up the plants. That gets plenty of airflow down through here. Didn't take off any blooms. Didn't cut any of the suckers off. And same thing with this one. And now they can get airflow. I've gotten the leaves off the bottom that were picking up dirt, and they're ready now to grow for a while and set another crop of tomatoes up here. And then I'll be back one more time and we'll make sure we leave plenty of cover on top to stop the sun from burning the tomatoes. And here's how much I took off of just 2 plants. All of this, and so you see leaves like this, you can tell they were already getting a little bit diseased. You want to get those on off and out of there. Here's another one, all curled and not looking good at all. So we get those off of there, open it up, and now these tomato plants are ready to set a lot of tomatoes. Once they set those tomatoes, then we're going to fertilize them again, and that way then they will make big, healthy, fat tomatoes. Okay, if you like this video, please like and subscribe.